Did you know that lucky bamboo is not a true bamboo at all? It actually belongs to a plant genus called Dracaena, which is comprised of many different species, many of which are popular houseplants. Hi, welcome back to Plant Life Project. I'm Andrew, and today with this Betta tank, I'm using one of a few species of Dracaena that is recognized as lucky bamboo. It is also called green ribbon Dracaena. Well, let's get started and let me walk you through this fun project. I decided that for this tank I wanted a lava rock background. I cut a piece of egg crate ceiling panel to fit the inside of the tank and used hot glue to attach the lava rocks to each other and to the panel. These rocks came in a plastic bag which had a lot of sand and grit, and I had to wash them thoroughly and dry them before being able to glue them together. I have to admit this was a tedious part of the build, but I took breaks when needed, and it took about 2 hours to complete this background. I'm not a huge fan of the red lava rock. I prefer the black, but only the red is available in my area, unfortunately. So I spray painted this background with Krylon Fusion black, which worked out great. It was hard to get every angle covered, but I'm okay with that. I mean, the shades of some red and black together still looks good to me. Next, I placed the background in the tank. I used a tank from my greenhouse that already had substrate in it, so the measurements I took before building the background weren't exactly precise, but I just cut out another piece of the egg crate panel that would make up the difference in height. This background needed to be secured at the top to keep it from falling forward. I had some pieces of polycarbonate panel left over from another project that I thought would work well to act as a brace and to be low profile enough to blend in. I trimmed the pieces to fit and they worked nicely. These polycarbonate panels are great for making custom aquarium lids. I may have to do a video on how to make these sometime. Now that the background is set, I leveled out the sand and started shaping the terrain. The substrate that I like to use is a layer of potting soil mixed with non-clumping, unscented kitty litter and Osmocote capped with sand. I set up some river rocks, trying to place them in a natural way. I made a tall slope of sand where I wanted to plant the lucky bamboo to ensure that the leaves would be above the water. Before I planted them, I had to experiment with placement before I was happy with the appearance. One of the stems that I took out of my 75-gallon Riparium to use had those bright orange roots that I did not want to cover up, but leave them visible as a natural feature of the tank. Once I decided on the placement, I put some fertilizer tabs in the sand, set the lucky bamboo on top, and covered the roots with more sand and gravel. The lucky bamboo is the prominent plant here, but not the only one I used. I wanted a small leafed vine to provide a trailing effect. I made a planter from some of the egg crate panel that I could hang on the outside of the tank, and I lined it with a piece of 3mm plastic liner. Heavy-duty Velcro with adhesive backing is how the planter was secured to the outside of the tank, and a piece of foam acted as a spacer to keep the planter from sagging backward. The vine that I chose to use is a variegated climbing fig, and the goal is to train it to grow along the top edge of the back of the tank. In hindsight, I should have made the planter bigger because I'm having difficulty giving the vine enough water, and the roots don't have much space to grow. So that's probably a change that I'll need to make at some point soon. You will notice that I have a hang on the back filter set up, but it was just too bulky and detracted from the aesthetics of the tank. So I'll show you what I used instead in a moment. The third plant that I chose to use is dwarf Sagittaria to soften up the underwater landscape. Filling and changing the water a few times was needed to minimize the cloudiness of the water. Now the filter that I chose is a small internal one designed for 1 to 5 gallon Betta containers. It's definitely very small for this 10-gallon tank, but what I'm really wanting is just gentle water circulation and for it to blend in. I cut some pieces of foam filter to act as a pre-filter and housing for beneficial bacteria, and I just threw the manufacturer's filter cartridge away. I set it up in the back corner, and the Lucky Bamboo does a great job of hiding it, I think. After letting the tank sit for a few days, the nitrate and nitrite levels were safe according to my water test, and I added a beautiful delta tail betta fish. I love his colors in this setup. He's an active little guy with a great personality. I plan to add snails to his tank, and I might try out some companion fish like zebra danios to see if he might go along with them. Well, this was a really satisfying project to work on, and it was fun to watch it come together as I was building it and to experience the enjoyment of seeing the finished creation. Well, I am so glad that I was able to share this with you today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I sincerely hope to see you again soon. Until next time, remember, it's all about the plants.